Let's talk about what you're doing right now, because you took over this company 5 years ago. When you did, you changed the way the company was running things. You've been partnering with other companies up to that point. You had been selling off some of the drugs that you produced. Your new model to Wall Street is that you're going to produce these things in-house and run with them yourself. What are the drugs you're working with right now?
Yeah, that's it's a mouthful, oligonucleotides, but they're antisense drugs, and it's like I said, it's a breakthrough for people in need for terrible diseases. You know, what we have been known for historically, for decades actually, is outstanding scientists, researchers that deliver great groundbreaking medicines. But historically, what we have done is to partner our medicines in early development and to commercialize our drugs directly to patients with pharma partners, right? When I moved into the CEO role, which, by the way, I started Ionis, I was one of the founding scientists at Ionis 36 years ago, so I've seen it all. When I moved into the CEO role in 2020, I recognized the need for us to no longer rely on pharma partners, but to control our own destiny. Why? Because nobody knows our drugs as well as we know them. Nobody moves with the sense of urgency when patients are waiting for treatments as we do at Ionis. And we needed to continue to retain more value for the program so that we can reinvest the value we get from bringing products to markets ourselves into research, into science, into development, into our commercial launches. And that has really resonated well with the investor.
It's higher reward. It's also higher risk if you have drugs that don't succeed. What are the drugs you're focused on right now? I think you have two that you've gotten some pretty decent approvals for just over the last month or two.
Yes. So there are two drugs that we recently got approval for, both for severe rare disease indications. The first one is for super high levels of triglycerides. Individuals that have super high levels of triglycerides that...
you can't break down fat.
They can't break down fat in their blood. And it's analogous to cholesterol, which all of us are familiar with. And if you have high cholesterol levels, you'll take a statin or another drug to lower the cholesterol levels. This treatment, it's called olezarsen, and it's effective in reducing levels of triglycerides, which also cause cardiovascular disease, can cause diabetes, but most importantly, when you have super high levels of triglycerides, you're at very high risk for a pancreas attack, which can cause pancreatic failure. It's called acute pancreatitis. And what we showed in groundbreaking results in September was not only can we substantially lower triglycerides in this patient population by 72%, unheard of before, but also we were able to show outcome. We were able to show reductions in pancreatitis by 85%. It's never been shown before. This has really gotten people's attention on Wall Street. That drug is not approved yet for that indication, but we recently got approval late last year for this same drug for a genetic cause of super high triglycerides, and that's called FCS, familial chylomicronemia syndrome. So it's already on the market for rare, and we're expecting it to be on the market next year for a highly prevalent disease that affects millions of people in the United States, also associated with super high levels of triglyceride.
I should disclose my daughter has a rare genetic disease. You all are working on a drug that's in the pipeline. I don't know where it stands right now, but you're working on a drug that would help her and others like her. But there are risks that come with going after rare diseases. Yeah. First of all, not a huge marketable population that you can put this to. How do you make the money on these things? Why does it make sense for investors?
Yeah, so, you know, I believe that the work we've done in rare neurological diseases is second to none. I believe we've cracked the code on treating rare neurological diseases that affect pediatrics, children, most times. You know, we have two medicines approved that are treating neurological diseases, including Spinraza for spinal muscular atrophy, Qalsody.
That's when you partner with
Biogen. Qalsody for ALS, the first ever disease-modifying treatment for a genetic cause of ALS. That's also partnered with Biogen. That was the previous business model, right? We believe that we have the approach to be able to tackle more and more neurological diseases, and they're coming. It is in our DNA to deliver medicines that can have a life-changing impact on patients' lives if we think we can do so. And that's regardless of prevalence, right? For the severe hypertriglyceridemia or super high levels of triglycerides I mentioned before, that's millions of people in the United States. We're going to do very well there. We're developing drugs for a few hundred patients, like our Alexander disease program, which we announced very strong data for a rare pediatric neurological disease. In September, we announced those results. And, I don't know, we'll make money or we won't make money, but we're going to help patients.
I mean, that's the question for investors, though. They're in this to try and make money.
Yeah.
Is there a way to do that when these are such small populations? Do you have to charge an awful lot for these drugs, or do you have a platform that can pull them out?
Well, first, let me say that for rare diseases, it's typically, the actual prevalence is usually really not well known. Prevalence really gets better defined, more accuracy when a medicine comes available, right? Then diagnosis rates go up, more accurate diagnosis rates go up, and usually the prevalence does go up there. And we'll help to find patients and diagnose patients, as these medicines come forward. But obviously, the work we're doing with the Ionis is resonating well with the investor community.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we're working on rare genetic diseases or highly prevalent diseases like super high levels of triglycerides, they've really gathered and gotten behind Ionis, not just because of the remarkable progress we're making across our pipeline, with 4 FDA-approved medicines in the last 2 years, 3 more expected next year, but also the new business model, Becky. The new business model is really resonating with investors that we're going to retain value. We're going to keep the drugs ourselves, and we're going to control our own destiny.